تصريف فعل الماضي والمضارع والأمر مع الضمائر. Here we're going to see conjugation of past, present and command tenses with pronouns. So we have past tense, present tense, command tense. We're also going to add prohibition tense over here, which is nothing but present tense, by adding a la at the beginning. So let's see fi'al madi, past tense. Now if we keep in our mind certain things, then the learning process when it comes to each tense becomes very easy. So when it comes to past tense, in fact when it comes to past and present, first thing what we need to know is that they are divided into three pronouns. In English we say first person, second person and third person. In Arabic we say, for first person we say al-mutakallim, for second person we say al-mukhatab, and for third person we say al-ghaib. Al-ghaib. And all of these are divided into three: mufrad, muthanna and jam', singular, dual and plural. And each of these types of pronouns, they have both male and female. First we look at male for singular, dual and plural, then for female for singular, dual and plural. So let's look at first person. And the thing about first person is that first person can be used for both male and female. So for example, when you say ana jalastu, which is I sat, it can be said by a male and it can be said by a female. Same thing for plural as well. So there's no separation there. Now we learn what are the letters we need to remember for each pronoun. So when you want to say I, ana, you have to relate it with tu at the end. Tu at the end. So you take the verb which is jalasa. And by the way, the origin of the verb is over here. Huwa jalasa. This is the origin of the verb. Jalasa. Then you add things to it. So when you want to say I, you add a tu at the end. Now, it is difficult to pronounce jalasa tu. See, there's no flow to it. So what we do is, we make the sin, which is the last letter of the verb, sukoon. So that we can say jalastu. There's a flow to that. Jalastu. And by the way, there is no dual when it comes to first person, because dual is included in the plural. When you say we sat, it can include both dual and plural. It can either mean dual or plural. It could be said by two people or more than two. So I've written the jam'a plural for both over here, whereas in fact they both are the same. So when it comes to plural or dual, then what you add at the end is a na. You add na at the end. Instead of tu, you add na at the end. So when you want to say we sat, we say jalasna. Take the verb jalasa, put na at the end. Simple as that. So that's what we do for first person. Let's go to second person, which is mukhatab. Now, if we remember the pronouns, then it is very simple to add the endings, the appropriate ones for the verbs. So let's see the pronouns. The pronouns are anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antuna. These are the 6 pronouns for second person. Anta for singular male, antuma for dual male, antum for plural male. Anti for singular female, antuma for dual female, antunna for plural female. So as you can see, the ta at the end, ta, tuma, tum. This is the same thing that we're adding at the end of the verb. Anta jalasta, antuma jalastuma, antum jalastum. As you can see, the endings of the pronouns and the endings of the verbs are the same. Anta jalasta, antuma jalastuma, antum jalastum. And likewise, anti jalasti, antuma jalastuma, antunna jalastunna. So once we understand the pronouns well, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, then we can just apply the same thing to the end of the verb. Coming to the third person, ghaib. Now, as we mentioned before, the huwa format has the origin of the verb, which is jalasa, like nothing is added to it. So huwa stays origin, like it stays in its origin, which is jalasa, nothing added. If it was another verb like kataba, kataba, daraba, fataha, nothing added to it. Huwa jalasa. Now huma, which is dual, you'll add an alif to it. When you want to say they both sat for male, you add alif. So huma jalasa. And hum for they, like more than dual, plural, you add a waw and an alif. This alif is not pronounced. It's written there to distinguish this from other verbs which have alif as the original letter. So we don't want to get into too much into that, but just know that this alif here is for a purpose not to be read. So we don't pronounce the alif, we just write it. So this is pronounced as hum jalasu, hum jalasu. So huwa jalasa, huma jalasa, hum jalasu. Now coming to she, yani hiya, hiya jalasat. What do we add here? We add a ta sukun. This is called as ta'u ta'nith sakina. It is a ta which is sukun, which indicates that it is feminine. So she sat will be an addition of ta sukun to the male. In the male one nothing is added, then in female you add ta sukun. And for they both, for dual, you add ta and alif. Jalasata, the ta and alif over here. And they all sat for female, you say jalasna. This is called as noon in niswa. You add the noon at the end, jalasna. So we'll just read this from the beginning. You have ana jalastu, I sat. Nahnu jalasna, we sat. And also nahnu jalasna, for we sat for plural. Anta jalasta, antuma jalastuma, antum jalastum, anti jalasti, antuma jalastuma, antun jalastunna. Then coming to ghaib, huwa jalasa, huma jalasa, hum jalasu, hiya jalasat, huma jalasata, hunna jalasna. So that was for fi'al madi past tense. Once you learn a single verb, then you can use it for any verb. For example, let's say this was kataba. So you can say ana katabtu, nahnu katabna for both. And then anta katabta, antuma katabtuma, antum katabtum, anti katabti, antuma katabtuma, antunna katabtunna. Huwa kataba, huma kataba, hum katabu, hiya katabat, huma katabata, hunna katabna. Now for fi'al mudari', present tense. For fi'al mudari', the basic thing about fi'al mudari' is that you need to learn that fi'al mudari', present tense, only begins with one of these four letters, and that is hamza, noon, ya, and ta. And you can learn this, you can remember them as anaitu. Anaitu. And this is hamza, or the alif is for ana, which is I, noon is for nahnu, which is we, and ya is for huwa, which is he, and ta is for hiya, and it can also be used for anta, which is you. Hiya is she. So ana, I, nahnu, we, huwa, he, hiya is she, and anta is you. So when you have the same format, we're going to see this is first person mutakallim, second person mukhatab, third person ghaib. So for male, sorry, this is for both male and female. So ana, we add ajlisu. As we said, for the I, we put the alif or hamza first. Ana ajlisu. And for nahnu, we add noon. Nahnu najlisu, for both dual and plural. Now for second person, anta, we add ta at the beginning, tajlisu. And for dual, the same, it's going to be the same, antuma, and we're going to add alif and noon to it. Antuma tajlisani. So it's going to be ta at the beginning and alif and noon at the end. You are going to add alif and noon at the end. And this alif actually shows that it is dual. This alif is the symbol of it being dual. And for antum, for plural male, we would add a waw and noon at the end. The waw is to show that it's plural, and the noon is a sign of it being a rafa'. And rafa' means marfu', that it is a nominative case. So anta tajlisu, antuma tajlisani, antum tajlisuna. Now for anti, the task remains the same, but you add a ya and noon at the end. Anti tajlisina. Antuma tajlisani, same as the dual. Antunna tajlisna. Tajlisna. This is for noon and niswa, for female plural. Now huwa will be ya at the beginning, huwa yajlisu, and huma yajlisani. Same like antuma, you add alif and noon at the end, the ya stays the same. And hum yajlisuna, same like tajlisuna, but ya at the beginning. So he sits, they both sit, they all sit. Now here tajlisu, she sits will be the same thing as anta. And antuma, same thing, huma tajlisani. But when you say hunna, they all sit, you say yajlisna, it's going to be yajlisna. So let's read this. Ana ajlisu, nahnu najlisu. Anta tajlisu, antuma tajlisani, antum tajlisuna. Anti tajlisina, antuma tajlisani, antuna tajlisna. And huwa will be huwa yajlisu, huma yajlisani, hum yajlisuna. Hiya tajlisu, huma tajlisani, hunna yajlisna. Now coming to fi'al amr, which is command tense. And command tense, when you want to command to someone, it can also be request. Both of them are included in this. And we are only going to command to a second person. We're not going to command to first person because we are the first person. We're not going to command to ourselves. Nor are we going to command to a third person. We're going to command to a second person. And that is obviously going to be singular, dual and plural, which includes both male and female. So there's a way in which we can take the command tense, take the fi'al mudari, present tense, because fi'al amr is taken from fi'al mudari. Take the present tense in the second person. So for example, here the second person for yajlisu is tajlisu. We take tajlisu. And what we do is, the first thing we can remove we change the dhamma here to sukun. So tajlis. Then we remove the ta. Once we remove the ta, then the letter will begin with a sukun. And in Arabic, you cannot begin a word with sukun. So we need to put something before the sukun. So let's write this thing like this, jlis. Now we put an alif, or what we call this as a hamzatul wasl. We put this alif over here. Now we need to put a vowel on the alif. That's going to be the second last letter. If it is a kasra, we'll put a kasra. And if it's a fatha, also we'll put kasra here. For example, if it was, taftahu. Taftahu will be like this, see? If tah, like this. So it's fatha over here, also we'll put kasra here. But what if it is something like dhamma, like tansuru? So like alif, noon, sad, ra. It's a dhamma, then you put dhamma, unsur, like that. So if it is kasra or fatha, you put kasra at the beginning. If it is dhamma, you put dhamma at the beginning. So let's look at this example, which is ijlis. So we say anta ijlis. So that's the origin, it's sukun. Then you add antuma, you add alif at the end. Antuma ijlisa and antum ijlisu, waw and alif. Anti ijlisi, the noon is gone. You add a ya at the end. Antuma ijlisa, antuna ijlisna. So this is similar to the second person for present tense, but it's just that the noon is taken off. So here the sukun it becomes sukun, and here the noon is taken. So ijlisa, the ta becomes alif kasra, as we've seen. And antum tajlisuna, the noon is taken off and alif is replaced. Antum ijlisu with an alif. Anti ijlisi, the noon is removed and alif kasra here. This is the same, antuma ijlisa. And antunna ijlisna, this noon cannot be removed because it's noon in niswa. So it's a noon of female, so it cannot be removed. Antunna ijlisna. So that's what we do for fi'al amr. Now fi'al nahi, that's the prohibition tense. Prohibition tense is very simple. It just takes you just have to take the fi'al mudari mukhatab, which is the present tense second person, and add la at the beginning. And likewise, you will remove the noon and you'll remove the dhamma to sukun. So tajlisu becomes la tajlis. Tajlisani, which was for the normal present tense, remove the noon, la tajlisa. Tajlisuna, remove the noon and put alif, la tajlisu. So that means don't sit. So don't sit for singular, dual and plural. And for female, when you want to tell her not to sit, you will remove the noon at the end, la tajlisi. Originally it was tajlisina, so la tajlisi. And here also the noon is removed, la tajlisa. And here the noon cannot be removed, as we said, because it is a noon in niswa, la tajlisna.